turnips. This is the oldest cultivated vegetable. It goes prehistory. And it has been changed from just the turnip. They crossed the turnip with the cabbage and created rutabaga, although they're not too sure exactly when that happened. But we're going to talk about turnips. It is the mildest flavored of the two, and it is the one that more people like than they like the rutabaga. It has a stronger taste. We'll do another show on rutabaga. So, what do you do with it when you get home? Well, first of all, let's go over the selection. A lot of times you find turnips in a bag at the store. I worry about that a little bit because you don't want them to get too wet. Although turnips are one of the best storing vegetables that there is. So we want to be sure that they have some color at the top. This colored part is the part that was growing up above the ground and the sun hit it. Then the bottom part should be pretty white. It should be smooth, shouldn't have any big dings or soft spots. This is like a perfect one. It's like a small apple. And then up here is growing the turnip greens, which can be eaten as a cooked leafy vegetable. So we're going to talk just about the turnip root today. So let's see about how to get into it. Now some people say you don't have to peel them. I find that the texture is better if they are peeled. They are hard. They're very hard to do. So the first thing I do is I just cut off the top. You'll need a sharp knife because this is where the leaves were. We don't need that. Then I turn it around and I cut off the end of the root, because it got smaller and a little skinny root thing going down there. Now, to peel them, you need to use a potato peeler, but it's very hard to peel it because it's so round. So I cut it down the middle, and then that gives me a place to lay it while I peel it. And then I just peel it all the way down. Oops, it won't come out. And that's all you need to take off because it's a little tougher, especially once it gets cooked. And most people don't like the texture. So that's what I do for peeling it. Now, if you didn't want to peel it, if you were going to bake them, what you could do is just take this piece here and rub it really well with a wet paper towel, because if you're going to bake them, then you don't want them to get hot, get too wet, or they become steamy inside when they're baking. Now I usually, if I'm going to bake them, I bake them in halves, and you can leave the skin on, and I've sprayed the pan with oil, and then you can just put those all the way around and put them in the microwave is what I would do, and it takes about 15 minutes. You don't even have to turn them. So baking is a very easy way to use them. Now, after you've baked them, then you could chop it up and dice it up and add it to soups and stews, those kinds of things. Or you could even add it to the potatoes. Now, if you get a few people to feed, and you're not too sure if your family's going to like the turnips by themselves, and what I would suggest is that you make one day and taste it. I think you'll be surprised how nice it does taste. You can put them in with your potatoes and steam them. Now these have been steaming about 25 minutes. And let's see, oh yes, they're very tender. These are the turnips, in case you can't tell. The yellower things are the potatoes. And we have 4 pieces. Whenever I'm doing this, I always make there to be less turnips than there is potatoes, because then it doesn't take away the potato taste, which is what people are expecting when you serve mashed potatoes. And of course I leave the skin on because the vitamin C is in the skin. So you can put this into a bowl. You can add a little butter or garlic, whatever you usually add to your potatoes. And then you can just mash them. And that way you end up with a really nice mashed potato recipe. Now if you add milk, of course you want to add it warm so it doesn't curdle. And you just want to mash these things together. And of course I only use the potato masher, the hand one. You can use your mixer, whatever you want to do. Now this is what I did to my kids. They're always talking about how I hid things in the foods. And I did. I had, kids of different ages, and mashed potatoes was a good thing to serve them. So I just added things to it, and turnips was one of those things. And when you look in this bowl, you can't tell there's anything in there but potatoes. And if you mix it like you always do with your mashed potatoes, it will come out very edible for everybody in your family. Now, when you want, you can actually eat the turnip raw. And if you're going to eat it raw, what I suggest that you do is that you slice it up and then you make it very small pieces. And you might want to try this before you serve it. You want small, kind of flat pieces so it's easy to eat and not too much turnip taste at one time in the mouth. And turnips are a great source of vitamin C. And this is what you can also do to add it to stews and stuff, or soups, especially in the wintertime, because this is a fall vegetable. And if you add it to your soups and stews, it breaks down enough that it doesn't have all the turnip taste to it. And that is really good with chickens, and if you add apple, they taste really good with applesauce, actually, if you mash those up together. I wouldn't tell my kids I did that to them, but, you know, I just might have done that. Turnips is very common in the southern states for a vegetable because it grows well down there. It's a very easy vegetable to grow. So if you live in any kind of temperate zone, you probably want to do that. The turnips keep about 2 weeks in your refrigerator crisper drawer. You don't want them to get too dried out, but you don't want to keep them in a bag and they get too soggy because they like to absorb the liquids also because they're kind of dry. So now I got this one to show you one that's a different shape. You noticed how the first one was like a little ball, and this one is flat. And these are not uncommon to find, and they're okay. The one thing to remember about the turnips, and this batch I got are just gorgeous, is that the smaller it is, the tastier it will be, the milder tasting. And I really do pick small ones. And if there's really big ones, I usually just avoid getting them. But most of them are more round. But there's the little squatty ones, and they're all the same. They also can be red on top and a greenish color. It's kind of like a greenish blue color. But it's just whatever was sticking up out of the ground. And they have to stick up a little bit to make their leaves happen. Another great thing to mix these with is sweet potatoes. You wouldn't believe the difference in sweet potatoes. And they're in the stores between October and March because they do grow over the winter. So go to my website, find out a lot more information about turnips. And if you haven't tried turnips, I really, really want to encourage you to do that this fall.